Light and crispy tart shell filled with deliciously tart passion fruit pastry cream and topped with lighter than air meringue on top. That was a long sentence. That's what you're about to watch me make today and what you're going to dig into when you try this recipe. This recipe is a pure delight and it's a great make-ahead dessert that's going to impress everyone. And don't get me started on how delicious it is. It's all about using fresh passion fruit. That's what this dessert shines with. Comes together as something special and I'm going to show you how to make it right now. Let's begin with the passion fruit curd because we're going to need to give that time to chill before we use it. So again, today I'm using fresh passion fruit and we're just going to empty that pulp into a medium-sized mixing bowl. Now guys, if you don't have access to fresh passion fruit, maybe they're just not where you are or it's not the right season for them where you are, you could just use canned passion fruit syrup. That's what it's called here at least. And that's what you can use. Set that passion fruit pulp aside and to another bowl you're going to add some caster sugar, cornstarch and some salt. Whisk that together before you add your egg yolks. Now with the egg whites we're going to be using those for the meringue, so make sure you hold on to them. Once you've whisked that and it's well combined, you're going to add a cup of heavy whipping cream and whisk that in. Empty that into a large pot and on medium heat you're going to continue mixing this until the mixture thickens. When you can run your finger through the wooden spoon, like where it's coated, and it doesn't all come back together, that's when you know it's done. And by the way, this might burn your finger when you do it like it did mine, so just be ready to lick it off. When it has thickened, you're going to add some cold butter, which I just cut into cubes, and when you've mixed that in and it's completely melted and mixed in, you're going to pour this into a bowl, cover it with some plastic wrap and set it aside in the fridge to chill completely. Let's move on to that tart shell. We're going to be adding some all-purpose flour, powdered sugar and vanilla extract to the bowl of a food processor. You're going to blitz that to help everything combine. Then you're going to add some cold unsalted butter and you're going to blitz that about 10 times until the butter reaches the size of little lentil-sized pieces. Add your egg yolks and continue mixing that until you can see or feel that it comes together as a dough. As soon as you can start feeling that, stop mixing. Pour it out onto your workbench and we're just going to gently bring it together. This isn't about kneading the dough because you don't want to develop the gluten. So you just want to kind of bring it together, and it is a little bit sticky to begin with, so it will come together quite easily. Once you have got it together, form it into a disc and then cover it in plastic wrap. This is going to go in the fridge to chill for 1 hour. Then you're going to take it out, dust it with a little bit of flour and start rolling. Now you're going to see these little cracks forming on the sides around the outside. That's because this is really cold, but as you see them forming, just pinch them together. Once you've rolled this out to about 14 inches in width, oh, and by the way, those little flecks of butter on the pastry that you can see on screen, that's what's going to help make this really flaky pie crust. Roll it around your rolling pin and that's going to help lifting it up much easier, and then drape it over your tart tin. So today I'm using a 9-inch removable bottom tart tin. Now the key here guys is to not stretch the dough to the bottom of the tart tin. You want to lift it up and encourage it to just naturally fall in there. Once you've done that, here's a really cool trick. I've shown you this before if you're a regular viewer. And by the way, if you're not, subscribe because I have loads of really cool recipes like this every week. Use your rolling pin to roll over the top and cut away the excess dough. It's so much easier than using a knife and you get a much neater result. Use a fork to prick the bottom with some holes before you add a sheet of baking paper on top, which I've just crumpled up because it helps it fall into the dough much easier. We're going to fill this up with some dried chickpeas, or you can use baking beads. This is going to go on top of a baking tray, and we're going to bake this for 15 minutes. Once it's baked for 15 minutes, you're going to take it out of the oven and carefully lift up that bag or baking paper filled with the baking beads. And that's going to go in a container because you can reuse these. Then this is going to go back in the oven for a final 10 minutes. Now look how perfectly baked that is. Let's set it aside and we're going to move on to making that meringue. So we're going to be gently cooking the meringue today to make it safe to eat. So to a large pot, you're going to add some boiling water, and then you're going to add a heat-proof bowl on top. You want to make sure that the water is not touching the bottom of the bowl. Add your egg whites and sugar, and you're going to whisk these together until you can't feel any sugar grains between your fingers. It'll take about 3 or 4 minutes. Take that off the heat, and I'm going to use my electric hand mixer to whip this up until we reach stiff, glossy peaks. Now we're ready to put this together, so I'm going to pop my tart shell on top of my serving plate. We're going to add that chilled and set passion fruit curd on top. Spread it around using a spatula. I fitted the end of my piping bag with a 6B piping tip, and I'm going to pipe some swirls on top of my meringue to finish it off. I mean, how cute is this, guys? It looks like it came straight out of a French patisserie. It's so delicate and soft and so delicious, and it just feels like a fresh dose of warm weather. So tropical. If you want to grab the recipe for this tart, it is on the scranline.com. The link for that is in the description box below. If you enjoyed watching this video and spending time with me in my kitchen today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and I have more videos on screen that you can click on and watch right now. I'll see you all on the next episode of the Scran Line.